Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
Sam Healey, welcome back.
And today we're taking a look at one of the games this year that's come out with the word Odin in the title.
Right.
This one's coming from NSKN and it's called In the Name of Odin. It is a Viking-themed game because Vikings are in right now, which I have no problem with.
Nor do I.
There's still like one Viking game for every 10 zombie games or something to that effect.
This is true.
In this game you are pillaging and plundering, but it's more abstracted, I think.
Very much more abstracted, yes.
Here, we'll show you how it's played, and then we'll be back again.
All right, in a game of In the Name of Odin, your basic gist of the game, your basic goal of the game is to acquire points. Now, acquiring points are going to happen in just a few of the different kinds of ways. First of all, ships. Some of the ships that you'll be able to purchase throughout the course of the game will give you victory points for the end of the game. The structures that you'll be building into your village throughout the course of the game will give you points for the end of the game. Some of the hero special abilities, once you use them, you gain a victory point after using them. And then raids will provide a certain number of glory, and then depending on how far out you have to travel to get those, you'll get extra victory points for doing those raids in those far away lands. Your turn is split up into two phases. There is an action phase where you're using cards out of your hand to perform the different actions on the turn, and then there's also the draw phase where you draw back up to a number of 6 cards in your hand. During your turn, there are a number of things you can do. The first thing that you can do is you can exchange action card with the offer that is over here on this side of the board. And to do that, you would simply take a card from your hand, choose which one you wanted to switch with it, and that's it. You can only do that once per turn, though. The next thing that you have at your ability to do is to gather Vikings into your village, which you will then be using to go on these different raids at another point later on in the game. In order to do that, you play a number of symbols from your hand that will correlate to the number of models that you can pull into your village. For example, if I pay one merchant card from my hand, I can pull one merchant into my village. But if I was to play 2 merchant cards, I would be able to pull 3 merchants into my village. And if I play 3 merchant symbols, I can pull 6 merchants into my village. Now, it's worthy of note here that you can only have a maximum of 10 Vikings in your village at any given point in time. However, there are certain structures, for example, the inn here, will allow you to have up to 14 Vikings in your village. So there are upgrades, I guess you could call them, so that you can hold more Vikings in your village throughout the course of the game. But that's how you gather Vikings. And if you wanted to get warriors, then you would be spending the red symbol in that same fashion. And if you wanted sailors, then you'd be using the blue symbols in that same fashion. Another thing that you can do on your turn is recruit heroes into your village as well. And you do that by paying a number of gold symbols equal to wherever that card might be lying. Once you purchase one of these people, you would take them and place them into your hero spot on the board on your playmat area here. Now, a couple of things about heroes. They will help you on raids by providing a certain kind of Viking for that raid. So, for example, if Snorri here has a party going to Wilton to raid Wilton, normally you have to pay 3 merchants in order to raid Wilton, along with 2 sailors and 1 warrior. Well, if Snorri is your leader, then you will only have to pay 2 of those merchants because he provides 1 of them. Then they also have special abilities that are on the card. And here you see that Snorri says you can take 2 action cards from the offer and then replenish the offer, and then take 1 more action card and then replenish again. And then after you do that, you gain 1 glory. Whenever you use the special ability of your hero, he automatically goes to the bottom of the hero deck, and you might see him again, but you have used his special ability, he goes away. Another thing you can do on your turn is to construct a building, and in order to do that, you would have to pay 3 green symbols from your hand plus a building or a construction token. Now, in order to gain a construction token, you have to pay a number of green symbols equal to how many houses or structures are already in your village plus 1. So at the beginning of the game, you don't have any structures in your building. Building tokens or construction tokens only cost 1 green symbol per thing. So if I play this card having a green symbol, I would be able to take 1 construction token and add it to my pool. But as the game goes on and you get more and more of these buildings into your village, now those construction tokens are going to cost more. For example, if I had 2 buildings in my village, they would now cost me 3 green symbols for just 1 token. Another thing you can do on your turn is purchase a longship, and you do that by spending cards from your hands that have a total of 3 ship icons or more. A ship icon looks like this right here. And when you spend 3 of these, you can purchase any of these longships. Now, longships have a few characteristics on them. First of all, they have a raid ability, and then they have a number of victory points they're going to give you at the end of the game, and then they also have a range, which also acts as a damage counter for that ship. And then the last big thing that you can do on your turn is go on a raid. Now, it's important to note here that when you go on a raid, it is the last thing that you will be able to do on your turn. So you want to do everything else on your turn that you want to do first before you go on a raid, because afterwards you will not be able to do anything. Now, going on a raid will look something like this. Of course, I've set this board up to where it simulates that we've gone through a bunch of different turns of the game so that you understand that there will be a lot more things than just your Vikings at your disposal. So first of all here, we want to go after Zeeburg. Now, Zeeburg is 3 oars away, and my ship can only go 2. So normally I wouldn't be able to do that. But because my Jarl's house gives me 1 additional to my ships, then I am able to do that. So at this point, I'm going to commit a number of Vikings that I need to accomplish that raid. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 merchants, I need 2 warriors, and I need 2 sailors. So I put out my 2 sailors, and then I need 4 merchants. So I have my hero here, Snorri, gives me 1 merchant to begin with, so I actually only need 3. So I take 3 from my house here, and I put those guys out here as well. And then I also need 2 warriors, but my ship here gives me an extra 1, so I only need to send out 1 from my supply here. So now I have enough over here to actually accomplish this. It's going to give me 6 victory points plus 2 because of how far out it is. So that's 8 victory points that I'll be able to get. Now, at this point, this is where a little bit of player interaction to come into place, because now every player that's in the game has the ability to play a card from their hand that will represent different difficulties that you've encountered over the course of that journey. And for every card that they play out of their hand, you will have to play a card from your hand to negate those difficulties or hardships. Each player has the ability to play 1 card from their hand, and then if there are any less than 3, then all those remainders are filled in from the deck. So for example, let's say in this 2-player game, a person was playing this out of their hand. Then 2 cards are taken from the deck. So now I'm going to have to look at my hand to see what I can and cannot negate. 1 symbol for each. So I could use this symbol to negate that center one there. And then, let's see here, I can use this symbol to negate that one. And then this one, I can use this symbol to negate that one. So, if there are no cards left, if there are no hardship cards left, that's what I like to call them, then I get a bonus 1 point for having, I guess you could say, flawlessly accomplished that raid. But for every card that is left, I have the possibility of losing points. If there's only one hardship card left, then I don't lose any points, but I also don't gain any points. I just get the points that are here on the board. But if there are 2 hardship cards left that I have not negated, then I lose 1 point. So instead of getting 8, I would only get 7. And if I don't negate any of the hardship cards, then I would lose 2 points, meaning that I wouldn't get this extra bonus here. I would only get the points that are on the card specifically. Now, at the end of the raid, my ship would be turned over, having denoted that it's still out to sea, and I would take a damage because it's inevitable that ships will be damaged during a raid. On a future turn, I would be able to pay 2 ship symbols to bring my ship back to port, flipping it over, and then if I wanted to, an extra 2 ship symbols to repair the damage on my ship as well, so that now he's ready to go. But even if I left this on him, he would still be able to go on at least 1 more raid before that ship was lost. The end of the game would be reached when the last raid card is completed, and it ends immediately once that happens. No other players, including the active player, are able to take any more actions at that point. And then the scores are tallied. And once again, scores are tallied by the number of victory points that you have on your buildings that are in your village, number of victory points that are on longboats that are in your village, and then any, of course, points that you have received from doing raids and special abilities for your heroes throughout the course of the game. And whoever has the most points is the winner.
Okay, so like I said, the Viking theme is kind of, you're collecting resources, essentially, the soldiers, and spending them.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the artwork / components?
Well, that's what I was just thinking as you were talking about how the theme is very abstracted. It is very abstracted, but at the same time, the artwork is so good on most of the stuff that's in here. The action cards are a little bland, but the hero cards, the board, a lot of different things really pull that theme and keep it in the forefront of your mind as you're playing through this. So I still felt like I was a Viking in charge of my own village. Now it's
a kind Viking.
Yes, very, very much so. But I mean, at the same time, you're still sending your people raiding other
We're establishing
places.
democracies.
No, that's probably not what was happening. But the theme, while abstracted, is still in your face, and the artwork is very good. So it pulled everything together rather well.
Speaking of in your face, because it is a Viking game, you might expect that there's this interaction, and the interaction is really it's more of a race than anything else.
It is.
You're really not affecting other people that much. Even those cards that you play, it's more of a way to get a card out of your hand. You are slightly hampering somebody.
It is,
You
yeah.
really can't hurt someone badly.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think this is really a Euro game, is that there is very little, if any, interaction between the players. You are simply at the helm of your village, and you're trying to build your village to be the best, Viking village with the most glory and all that kind of stuff. You're really not doing anything with the other players. Like Tom was saying, those cards that you play at the end of a raid, you don't even have to do that. That's just a choice that you can choose to do to get a card out of your hand. That's really all it is. You're not really hurting anybody, and most of the time, especially during the end of the game, you already have a hero that takes care of like half of the cards that could get thrown at you anyway, so you don't even have to worry about it. So,
well, I mean, yeah, the worst. Well, I mean, if you could make someone lose a point, that is actually a big deal in this game. Every point counts.
Yeah, that's true.
So you might try, but at the beginning, you're just guessing.
Yeah.
Do you have this? I don't know.
Right.
And if you are going to raid, you might as well raid earlier in your turn so that you have those extra cards just in case you need them.
Yes.
But I still enjoyed the game. I mean, I don't need every game to be an in-your-face one. We have Blood Rage
Right.
for that. And this one is in that kind of really nice sweet spot of that 1 hour collect resources and do different things with them.
Right.
And it has some cool special abilities. Each building is different, which is cool.
Yes.
And each ship feels different. And the leaders.
Yeah.
So it's not just some bland game. There's that flavor that comes from the different kinds of buildings and such.
Yeah, this game does one of the things that I really enjoy when games do it, and that is you all start off kind of vanilla, but towards the end of the game, you are different than everybody else because of the buildings that you have in the village, because of your hero, because of the ships that you're using to go out and do raids with, and the special abilities that they have. So by the end of the game, you are very different than everybody else. You're still kind of doing the same things, but you have different abilities. And that's one of the things that I really did like about In the Name of Odin. You provide differentiation from yourself as the game progresses, and it's all based on the choices that you make during the game. So I really did like that a lot.
Right, and I like the buildings. You can build a lot of buildings, which gives you a lot of special abilities, but you're also using a lot of actions to do that, while someone else might decide to go ship and just start raiding as quickly as they can, collecting and going back and forth. The cards have 2 icons in each one, and when I first saw them, I thought, oh, this is going to be confusing, but it really isn't.
No, it's not.
It's easy to collect those cards and throw them out, and you're collecting sets and or doing the different actions.
Right.
I do wish that they had included a reference card.
Yeah.
It's not a huge deal because you learn pretty quickly, but like fixing a ship costs 2 icons.
Yeah.
Bringing a ship back to port, that could have been, or put on the board or something.
Right. Well, the board was kind of busy as it was, which was kind of strange because everything was laid out. It's a big board, and everything's laid out, sort of spread out rather, but the board's still kind of busy. Maybe they could have dampened some of that a little bit and put a legend or something like that on there, but everything's color-coded too. That's one of the things that I liked about it. They made the warriors red to match the symbol that you have to use to purchase the warriors, and the sailors the blue, same thing. I like how they did all of that.
But they also have different symbols if you're colorblind. Easy to tell apart.
That's correct. So they have different symbols and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think they did well in designing the game in that respect because it's very simple to simply say, like when I was playing with my wife the other day about halfway through the game, she says, well, what does this symbol do again? I was like, find it on the board. And she found it, oh, okay. And that's one of the cool things that I liked about the game is that everything was color-coded, symbol-coded, and it was very, very simple to go through.
So this, again, I don't think there's enough of these games made. This 1 hour Euro game with a good theme, but easy, simple mechanisms. You can teach people. It seems to scale pretty well.
Right.
And plays pretty quickly, and it's probably more tactical than strategic. You kind of just... oh, this is what I got, so I'm going to play this and do this. And you don't know what buildings. I mean, you might say, I'm going to build all the buildings, and then 3 of the same ones show up, and you're like, well, maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's fast and fun. This one gets a 1.5 up. Well, I can't do more than thumbs.
1.5.
Fur-covered thumb up.
Fur-covered thumb? That's disgusting.
Well, I killed some bears. I don't know what I'm talking about. We'll go back to you.
Okay, well, I'm going to give this one 2 longboat oars up because this is the kind of Euro game that I really do enjoy playing. A lot of people say that I don't like Euros. That's false. I don't like long, brainy Euros. This is a short, mid-weight Euro game that I really can sink my teeth into because the theme is, while abstracted, very prevalent and in your face. I like it a lot.
Well, there you go. That's In the Name of Odin.
Odin!
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.